IVM.
All right, welcome to Shunya 1, episode 86. How's it going, Amit?
It's been fun, man. 85 down, 86 to go.
What? Okay. Is this a number we're trying to hit?
No, it's a nice round number. It has a 5 at the end of it.
Okay.
That's all it has to do with it, nothing else.
Wonderful. But I'm back on the intro after a long time.
Yes, you are. It has been a while, right?
I know.
I've been half-assing the intros. Like last week's intro was exactly 20 seconds long.
Oh, that's
not good.
That's not good.
Yeah,
but we've had some good episodes otherwise.
Yes, we have. We had last week was a good episode. Gaurav was a great episode. And the episode the week before that with your friend from Indonesia.
Yep.
That was
actually last week.
Yeah. The Gaurav was the week before.
Yes.
Right. Gaurav was the week before. Yeah, that was good. Both of them were really good.
Very interesting stuff.
So was Robin's episode, and so was... the second season's been good.
Yep, and a lot of stuff has happened since. Funnily enough, timed with Robin, we had Spotify launch.
Yes, we did.
Now we are... we
are on Spotify.
Yes.
We've been on Spotify for a while, just in case our listeners didn't know, but now you can get Spotify and listen to us on Spotify.
In India.
In India.
Interesting. Let's hope you give us feedback there and rate us there as well.
Yeah, I think you can do a rating on Spotify.
Yeah.
So you should do ratings wherever you can, right? If you can see a place to do a rating, you should do a rating. This is to the listener, not to you.
Absolutely. I will go and do it too. But we have a very interesting guest today. We're going to be talking to Viral, who is the VP of Engineering at Pocket Aces, also behind the app called Loco.
Yes.
Which I'm sure all of you have heard of.
We just had the original founder of Loco, pre-exit founder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we heard the story there, and now we're going to hear about the story of where Loco is going and what it's going to become. So onwards with the show. Hey Viral, how is it going? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sheila. It's going well.
Thank you for doing this. I'm happy to see that you're back in Bombay, even though you've moved to Bangalore.
Yeah, Bombay is still first love. I've lived around the world. Bombay is first love.
Yeah.
Bangalore has no love.
That's always what we want to hear. Funnily enough, we have so many folks who are, in the startup ecosystem who join me here for this show. And there is always the Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi equation around tech and where it's based and where you guys are based.
Yeah. Well, if you grew up in Bombay, there is no doubt that you have to love Bombay.
Exactly.
Yes. I grew up in Bombay, so...
But now you have, while Pocket Aces is still primarily Bombay-based,
Yes.
the content team, the content house.
Correct.
What you and your team run is, of course, Loco, the app, and the entire tech piece of it, which we will get into. But since on the topic, right, quick recap on your story. You've lived around all over the world, you said, and you've actually had some interesting stints with some big name companies.
Super interesting.
I went to college in the US, and then after grad school, I went to Microsoft. When I started at Microsoft, I was in the Windows Phone team and stayed with them for about 5 years. Did very, very low-level device drivers, operating systems, kernel kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved to the HoloLens team, which is Microsoft's augmented reality, mixed reality headset, as they like to call it now. And I was one of the first few engineers there. I think I was engineer number 12 or 14 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there with them for about 5 years, saw the development of the product all the way from it looked like a torture device.
On your face, yeah.
A torture device on your face to after seeing that, what a very sleek device on your face. But we shipped V1.
Nice.
I was, again, doing low-level work and then helped with a lot of production in China.
Mm-hmm.
So I now know what tech assembly lines look like.
Nice. Like actual
assembly line where the devices
product,
get built, where a computer gets built, where a phone gets built. How does it work? And then after that, after about a decade, 11 years at Microsoft, I joined Pocket Aces. The founders of Pocket Aces are college buddies of mine, and they said, why don't you come join and we'll do something in tech? And I said,
interesting.
Let me think about it, and then yes.
Awesome. And another good excuse for you to move back to Bombay.
Exactly.
Little did you know.
Little did I know that CleverTap has taken all of my engineers
I see.
in Bombay, so I cannot successfully run a tech team in Bombay.
Well, I won't say I'm sorry. We like
I don't know
our
if the
engineers.
listeners know this, But Shiladitya works for CleverTap and has taken all of my engineers personally.
My goodness.
He's
Now you're just accusing. Now, listen, people love to join cool tech companies, and of course, Bangalore has so many cool engineers who don't work with us yet. But if you want to move to Bombay, you know where. But anyway,
are you offering me a job on air? You know you can't take this back, right?
Yes, Veer, we should talk. But tell us more about what you jumped into when you came back, of course. And Pocket Aces, obviously, being a content platform which is producing videos and content for YouTube for yourselves. How did you make the transition into tech, and where did you take over from what Loco was already building? We've heard the first part of that story from Abhishek in our earlier episodes. Where have you taken it up, and where are you taking it now?
So my stint at Pocket Aces is broken into two, pre-Loco and post-Loco, or I'm still with Loco, it's not post. Yeah. But pre-Loco I joined, and the original target was to make the content house to be very data-focused and tech-enabled. So we built a bunch of cool small services to be consumed internally. One of the coolest things we built was a automated trading platform to be able to get lowest CPM ads on Facebook.
Wow. Really?
So every piece of content we uploaded on Facebook, we ran an algorithm, had a regression model to figure out whether this piece of content is going to be successful or not, based on the data that we collect on our own posts and time series data. And then based on that, we'll make a prediction. And if the score in our internal prediction is high, then another service will just go and add money and start a marketing campaign for that post.
Nice. So basically detect what's going to go viral and then make sure it does.
Exactly. You predict who the winners are going to be and see if you can make them super winners.
Nice. So and how did that work out, actually?
We reduced our CPMs by like 60%.
Wow. That's
That's massive.
That's massive, yeah.
Right? So then every post got a budget, and then we had multipliers. Then the whole system was set up. But that was one of the coolest things we did.
And for a content company, that's amazing, because that's a lot of money which you saved, and then of course you acquired another startup.
Yes. So along while this was going on, we were thinking about what can we do in the tech space that is a natural extension of the Pocket Aces DNA, and where we have an unfair advantage. I love that word, unfair advantage, because in business you always want to make sure you have some unfair advantage, right, either by skill or position or something, so they can take advantage of opportunities. So we were thinking along various ideas at when HQ released. HQ released in August. We heard about it in October here. And at the same time, we're still having conversations. What should we do? The hottest thing in 2017, October, was vernacular video platforms. So we considered that very, very seriously and see if there is a play there. At the same time, HQ happened and I saw it. I was like, this is it. This is the perfect thing, because it definitely needs localization. Indians don't care who the 13th president of the United States was.
Right.
So every country is going to have their own version of HQ.
Right.
HQ cannot expand as fast as I can build HQ or similar things. And I can make it local. Yeah. Make it in local languages, available in various languages, etc., etc. And at the same time, we are a production house. We're a media house. So access to talent, access to producers, access to media professionals was our core competence.
Right.
So we launched, between the time we started talking with these guys, Maddie and Sushil and Chetan, the three people who started Loco,
right,
to Gaurav Kapoor doing a Loco show. It was called Showtime at the time, but obvious copyright issues with Showtime.
Right.
So it was 30 days.
Wow.
The day the ink was dry, the day before that, Gaurav Kapoor is doing a show on Loco.
Wow.
Right?
Nice.
And we have a content design team, so we have a brand set up, we have a jingle, right? The hippo as a character for Loco.
Yeah, the whole work.
The whole thing, because that stuff we know.
Yeah.
And that just basically was a perfect fit and you basically go and execute it.
Correct. Initially, we didn't really have a tech team. I had the tech team was myself. In Bombay, it was myself, another VP of tech, Vijay, and Praveen, a college hire, a fresh college hire.
Wow.
And 3 of us in Bombay, and then in Bangalore, there were 3 of them.
Right.
Well, 2 techies and Maddie,
Right.
Abhishek. He was running marketing and the business side of things. And then, and they had one other friend who joined as soon as they were able to pay salaries. Basically, when
Right.
he was ready to go, except that he's like, I can't afford to not have a salary,
Right.
which is
That's fair.
Which is fair. So 3 people and this insane growth.
Yeah.
I can count on maybe 10 fingers globally the number of companies who went from about 3,000-4,000 DAUs to 1 million DAUs in 60 days.
Wow.
Honestly, I can't think of anything that would have grown that fast.
We heard about that from Abhishek, and we heard about how it was literally a choice of either keeping it going or shutting it down because the server costs were
That
burning.
is pre.
Exactly,
That
pre-acquisition.
is still at 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Even at 1,000 people, because of the nature of this business, it was insane.
Yes.
It was a cost to operate.
Can you speak to that a little bit? I mean, like the idea of why is this so much more complicated, given the fact that it's interactive on both sides? How does that lead to complexity?
And especially in the sense of the tech which you now handle and you took over from these guys.
No, we didn't take over. We built it together.
Right.
They're still there.
Right, of course.
So the fundamental difference between, say, what Loco does for his live shows and what, say, Hotstar does or YouTube Live does is that there is no feedback mechanism from the viewer. So it does not matter to the viewer whether the stream is 10 seconds delayed, 30 seconds delayed, 40 seconds delayed. If you're watching cricket at home and you're only watching on that screen, you're off by 30 seconds, doesn't matter. For us, the host is reading the question for you, telling you the options, then you click on the answer, and then the answer comes to us, we tabulate it, and then the host reads the result live.
Yeah.
Now, if that is off by 15 seconds, and because this is two-way, these numbers multiply into 2.
Right.
So the delay between reading the question and reading the answer, or the results for every question, will be 30 seconds.
Yep.
Or 14 seconds. That's a lot of that time. It does not make the gameplay quick.
Yeah.
So for us, we built almost a custom system with different pieces where our photon to photon time, the photon being captured in the camera to photon being emitted on the phone.
Wow, that's a cool word. That's a cool phrase, man.
Our photon to photon time is 3.5 seconds.
Wow. This is going in the blurb. Photon to photon time is the coolest thing I've ever heard in the video streaming business, or maybe I've not heard it before. Is it common?
No, every
phrase?
every video streaming platform I speak with, they get confused because I want to measure actual end-to-end latency.
Right.
And they all keep talking about my transcoding latency, blah, my CDN latency, blah. I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
This is the number I need to improve. You can help me along the way anywhere.
Right.
So
Awesome. So, okay. So, and you really, really work towards optimizing that.
But doing that means no CDN in the world actually has. So we use this technology called RTMP, which is for us
media.
old people, real-time media protocols made by real
Yes, I
player.
remember.
Yes.
It used to be RTSP, now is RTMP.
No, RTSP was different from RTMP.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
there's
thought
slight
it was a
differences.
successor.
Maybe.
I thought RTMP was a successor to RTSP.
Amit, you're in the media business. You probably know this better than I do.
I could be wrong.
But they are related somehow. I don't know the history, but it is a protocol built in the 90s. It is a frame-by-frame protocol versus MP4 or H.264. It's a bundled compressed protocol.
Right.
And HLS is built on top of that.
Yeah.
So the whole world moves towards HLS
Yeah.
and Dash and these new other systems. While we stuck to this because RTMP gave me 2 advantages. Because it was frame by frame, there's no buffering of a segment. HLS is chunked data. So I have to download that whole 2 seconds worth of video before I can start playing it.
Right.
Think of HLS as a very long playlist of videos one after the other.
Correct.
So you have to download that whole 2 seconds. So there is already a 2-second delay right there.
Correct.
in RTMP is frame by frame.
So and each frame is like what one.
Each frame is a frame. It's 25 frames per second.
120 per second, yeah.
Right. So there is no delay. As soon as the frame is captured, it gets processed and starts on its journey to the user.
Right.
And second thing, because it's frame by frame, I can actually drop frames. You get a bad connection. You're going through Juhu and you get a bad connection. Juhu is notorious for that. And you get bad connection. I don't want the stream to be delayed, unlike a live event. Because now you can hear the answers before.
Yeah, okay, wow, that's actually really cool, man, because I never really thought of that. When you're doing the thing which is in chunks.
It's lossy data, and it's okay.
No, it's designed to be that.
Yeah. Whereas in the other case, what will happen is that you will still get the entire thing, right? But it will just come back, it'll come to you 4 seconds later when you get into a good network. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
But why could you afford to do that? Because of the nature of your game.
No, we wanted to do that explicitly. This was designed because if one stream is running late, the person sitting next to you might get an advantage because you are now playing a later version of the game.
Yeah.
Either your questions won't sync with the video that's playing. That's terrible.
No.
If we delay the questions also, then
if both of us are sitting next to each
you are
other,
sitting next to each other, and you now have advantage because you can quote unquote see the future.
Yeah. So so then you just dropped frames in between.
So we say if we don't get a frame, we don't play it.
Yeah.
Oh, so you miss what you miss.
You miss what you miss.
But there's
and we built
delay.
the question answer system completely independent from video. So even if you might not see the host
talking,
you get
the questions.
Right.
Because that's a much lower data amount, so you can do that in a low data condition.
Very cool. This is some interesting background on how the whole show actually runs.
Yeah.
And was this some sort of unique innovation which you guys looked at for this market, or is this again internationally something which for this nature of games is now being adopted?
This level of detail is not available.
Right.
So I don't know who's done what.
Right.
But this is how we solve the problem. I'm sure there are other ways of solving the problem.
And it worked, and it works at scale now.
It works at scale.
Sometimes old technology is the best technology.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I know of folks who have, even today they're doing, even in my domain of the of push notifications and whatnot, I have people who still use the MQTT and old school chat protocols instead of
podcasting. RSS 2003 specification created, not advanced since then. So that's
the person who manages syndication of our filtered copy content and all of our Pocket Aces content. She asked me, can we set up RSS feed for something, blah, blah, blah. She had no clue what RSS meant. I had to tell her, RSS stands for really simple syndication. And she's like, what?
Yeah. So exactly. It's always the old school coming back and solving problems of the future. We've gone ahead too much. So the millennials are taking over too much. And that's why we have old people in the room talking about it. But anyway, continuing. You've built this tech. You have, of course, the team expanded. You moved to Bangalore because that's where all the tech action is clearly. How's that been, and what kind of team have you managed to grow since? What are you guys working on now?
So on the tech and engineering side, we had a giant monolith. And so we started breaking it into microservices, building more scalable platforms, building platforms that individual services can succeed and fail independently so that the whole app doesn't go down because one piece is overloaded. Right. Creating different points of failure instead of a single point of failure for lots of different things. So that is on the tech engineering side of things. And on the product side of things, we learned a lot. Right. It's almost embarrassing to say because now it seems simple, but it took us a lot of effort to learn a lot of the different things. So now we are putting, I'll walk you through what the basics of what we learned were, but now we are putting those into action. So we built the team. We went from 3 devs, core devs, to about 15 or 18 at last count.
That's not much. I thought Bangalore you can get 50 people at drop of a hat.
Yeah, but you also need money to hire them. And we're also very careful about one of the coolest things about Pocket Aces is I think we're the only company I know where we explicitly have a culture round of interviews.
Oh.
And explicitly people who will not work with you and junior people will run that interview.
Oh.
And we ask all kinds of questions like that do not fall in your domain at all.
Oh, interesting.
Examples?
How does a plane fly?
Okay.
Like to a sales guy. I mean, it's just the way to see if they are curious about the world,
Right.
if they can explain something simply. Like, if I want to translate this into sales, you go into a sales room trying to sell CPM and this and that, and on the other end, there's a traditional businessman who says,
What is
भाई
CPM?
मेरे को product बेचना है.
Correct.
मेरी अगरबत्ती ज़्यादा बेचनी है मुझे. ये सब क्या है?
Correct.
So now you have to explain it to that guy.
What it is. Yeah.
So you need to be in touch with the real world, not just the
Right.
tricks of your trade, but
Basically, you need bullshitting skills is what you're
No,
trying to say.
no.
it's also at all levels, right?
It's all levels.
those
This is just
skills.
sales.
Yeah,
but,
but I know.
But to be able to think about, or how many basketballs do fit
in
in
a
this
room.
room?
Yeah.
Right. Basic estimation skills. Like, do you have mathematical literacy?
Right.
Do you have logical thinking literacy? That is what it's checking for.
Right.
How many basketball will fit in this room? Right. The idea is to see if people fit in the organization. One of the other things we check is how do they deal with somebody super junior talking to you? Like, are you standoffish? Are you making eye contact? Are you like all kinds of things you can check?
Right.
Are you mathematically literate? I don't need you to be a genius, but literacy, basic literacy.
So you ask very junior people to interview
Senior people.
more senior people.
And they're asking questions like, what do you think about Salman Khan?
Okay.
Nice.
That's interesting.
Like, and there's no wrong answer.
No, there isn't.
I just want to see if you can.
It's a
have
culture fit.
It's a culture fit.
Yeah.
It's
culture.
also tough to kind of impart interviewing of skills to junior people to get them on, because I mean, like, that's something that I've kind of struggled a little bit with over here, right? I mean, like,
That's because you're trying to put it in a box. He's saying just ask anything.
yeah, I guess that's true.
You're not trying to
Yeah.
make someone interview off a rap sheet, sheet or a structure.
No, we have structure.
Right.
We have questions given to them saying if you are struggling for the next question, then refer to this.
Refer to this, okay.
It's okay to have your notes open in front of you.
Right.
Right. So
Is this something you picked up from your stints at Microsoft?
no, we Microsoft runs like a well-oiled machine, right? Somebody else is doing the culture fit. You ask your technical questions, 5 technical interviews, then a manager makes a call based on whatever.
Yeah. So how did this come into the culture of the team?
They are already doing it,
Oh, wow.
right? The other cool thing about Pocket Aces is all the founders will say this as well. Everybody has a voice. We encourage conflict. And we actively try and minimize the hippo effect by saying the hippo is the highest paid person's opinion.
Okay.
So just because right now in the room, if I'm the highest paid person, it shouldn't matter. What I'm saying is just an opinion.
Right.
It's a suggestion. If it is your call, take that call.
Right.
Right. So there are certain tenets that I have not seen explicitly mentioned at least other places. Here we do.
But it's a good primer for anyone listening or any startup for that matter,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because it's what you need.
It is what you need. It is what you need because good ideas can come from everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you don't listen to dissent, then you have a problem.
Yeah.
Then you're in an echo chamber.
Yeah. Best idea should win.
Best idea should win. And again, I was just talking to Amit before this. It is better to be successful than right.
And that can come from anyone's contribution.
Yeah.
And that's what you're building
one of the things
the
I
org
keep
for.
saying is, this is what I think and I'd be happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, genuinely will be happy to be wrong because that means I learned something.
Correct.
And so,
Awesome. All right. On that note, I think we're going to take a quick break, come back and talk some more.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure that you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So if you guys haven't been checking out Instagram, you should take a look at the audiograms. We're giving you excerpts from different shows. This is available both on our stories and on our feed. Also, we put these audiograms up on Facebook and Twitter as well. So, I mean, like, do kind of keep an eye out for them. You kind of enjoy them, I think. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus is joined by Abuzar Akhtar, who talks about his difficult journey from a businessman in Dubai to a playback singer in Bollywood. Film producer and close friend of mine, Kuki Gulati, also joins in to talk about his discovery of Abuzar. You should also check out episode 350 of Cyrus Says, which was an AMA special. It featured a roundtable of other IVM hosts like Varun Dugirala of Advertising is Dead, Naren Shenoy from Simplified, Dinkar Dwivedi from Geek Fruit, and of course me and Abbas. Anirudh Kanisetti is back with season 2 of Echoes of India from the 27th of March. On the first episode of the season, Anirudh is going to start from where he left off, the rise of the Gupta Empire. New episodes are out every Wednesday. On Pulya Bazi, Pranay and Saurabh talk to Disha Malik and Kavita Devi, who run Khabar Lahariya, a woman-run rural media network in UP. On Know Your Kanun, Ambarana is joined by wife and model Hasleen Kaur to talk about the safety of women in the entertainment industry. On Football Twaddle, Saru and Kanav talk about last week's FA Cup and EPL action as the race for the title and top 4 heats up. On Thalle Harate last week, Uday Kumar joins hosts Pawan and Ganesh to discuss the oldest inscription stone in Bengaluru, which opens the historical understanding of the city. On the Sponge podcast, Ambi Parmeshwaran talks about the time when he was invited to present tax collection and communication strategies. And with that, let's continue on with your show.
Coming back to the platform that you built, of course, around this interesting and very fairly lean team when it comes to Bangalore of 15 people building a further scaling up product.
So the engineering team is about 15. We have about 5-6 people in product management.
Right.
And that's the bulk of the team, or 25, 26 people in Bangalore right now.
Right. And where has the learning been of this? Of course, it started with the skyrocketing scale. Where did it go from there? I mean, obviously you had to adapt to people have changed. The game is not that. The style of game is now done by a bunch of folks. How have you seen the market change and how have you adapted to it?
One of the things we learned is, so the 3 things we learned in the first 6-8 months of running this. Not the first 6, like middle 6-8 months of running this. First 3-4 months we were just surviving and just scale. Is you have to make sure different people win and a lot of people win. Mm-hmm. Initially we thought, because KBC is instilled in our minds, people want to see big prizes.
Right.
But no, people want to be winners.
Yes.
So if your core product is making 99% of your users losers, then you're screwed.
Yeah. And that's the opposite of what KBC is. KBC is a pre-selected spectator sport.
Also really
KBC
hard,
is casted.
right?
KBC is casted. Let's be real about this. It's casted, straight up.
Yeah. No, but also the questions increase in difficulty to a point where it is, even though it is the number of people who are going to really win in KBC are going to be small. But over here, I think you're talking about something a little different, right?
Yeah, but KBC is made for the audience.
Right.
Yeah.
We are democratizing KBC.
Correct.
So whole of India is playing KBC with us.
Right.
Exactly. And then you need more winners.
I have, in every game, 100,000 people, 20,000 people, whatever, we have walked up and down that stack of number of people playing simultaneously. How many people win? Should we design the game so that we have fewer winners with large outcome? Mm-hmm. Or should we have more winners and smaller outcomes? What works?
Mm-hmm. And especially works in a repeatable model.
Correct. So we realized the retention of the people who win versus who have never won. The winners retain far, far better.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But the person who wins 2 rupees or wins 500 rupees in a game, the retention is the same. And in fact, a person who wins 2 rupees twice, retention is way higher than a person who wins 500 rupees once.
Aha. Okay. So it's winning repeatedly is the key.
Correct. The amount almost doesn't matter when you're looking at a scale of users. Right. Second thing is, we also realized that most of our DAUs in the early part were coming when there was nothing to do on the app. Mm-hmm. So at best, they will say, oh, there's no show on right now. I'll come back when the show is there.
Right.
At worst, they think the app's broken.
Yeah. You don't know what they're thinking when they're launching.
So you have to provide people things to do on the app all the time. Mm-hmm. And the third thing is, fundamentally, if you're doing a game, then you have to understand that if this is a game, then you have to have game mechanics. When you have that virality loop, at some point the loop died, so you have to rebuild it.
Right.
The loop died because people ran out of people to refer.
Yeah.
So now how do you give them incentives because winner percentages are still going to be low.
Correct.
So you give them something else in return. So we built internal currency, in-game currency, we just call it coins, Loco coins or whatever.
Right.
But that system helps us give people some kind of value and winnings.
Which creates eventual loyalty with...
Correct. And that can be used to win more games because that gives you life and you can come back into the game, etc., etc.
Right.
So those are the 3 big things we learned. So one of the first things we did is we drastically increased number of games in the app from 2 games a day to 7 to 8 games a day.
Okay.
Right? Different mix of types of games, themed games. We innovated on the kinds of games. We did a Price is Right kind of a game. We did a Jeopardy kind of a game, which is called Loco Googly. The Price is Right game is called Loco Bazaar. There is another game called Loco Story, which is using the questions, we tell you a story, and you have to deduce answers to those questions.
Oh, okay.
As the questions keep going forward.
Sounds really interesting.
That is one of the people and our content creators love it the most.
Yeah. I would think so. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should come Amit, and make a quiz for us.
Oh, yeah, I will. I will try and do something. It sounds like a lot of fun.
And this is again a new genre of interactions, which wasn't possible before. Again, I mean, there were always games which are games, which are mobile games. But this is you're inventing new creative ways of sort of engaging with people. Do all of them have a monetary angle in the sense, or is it... What did you find is the biggest hack or understanding why this works? I mean, for HQ and for Loco in the original form, it was the chance to win money. It was, like you said, democratized KBC, right? I mean, hey, I'm going to play a quiz and I might win some money. And it's in real time, it's all live, it's not like when I'm bored or when I'm... there was a certain novelty to it. How have you expanded on that? And how have you tried to keep that novelty or some other new ones alive?
So one thing was we created a bunch of new games.
Right.
And next we moved into different types. So starting December, we started working on these two features that are now live. One is kind of a fantasy gaming light. So a much lower learning curve entry to fantasy gaming compared to, say, the classic fantasy gaming of Dream11, FanDuel, DraftKings, all of these guys.
Right.
We adapted our quiz format to ask you 10 questions about the game, about a cricket match that's about to happen.
Oh, okay.
Like, let's say India and Australia are playing, and please, I'm going to embarrass myself right now because I know nothing about cricket other than Kohli and Dhoni.
Okay.
But let's say we can ask a question of who will score more runs today? Will Kohli or Dhoni run?
Right.
Who will
win the toss?
That is not so much a skills thing, right? But
skill-based game, not luck-based game.
I see.
So what will the team that wins the toss decide to do, bat or bowl?
There you go. That's skill-based.
Right.
How? I don't get it.
It's gambling versus non-gambling, right?
No, but how is this question skill-based? Is if you know the pitch and the team and the history of that stadium,
the pair and the stadium and
what would the team do? Like
it's a decision versus a gamble.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Who will bat first? Who will be?
No, who will bat first, because that depends on the toss.
Who will be the two openers?
Right. Stuff like that. Will enter Australian batsman versus Kohli, who will score more runs.
Correct.
Please fix this in post.
Got it. No, this makes complete sense, and that's obviously
and that's a light way of entering. I don't have to worry about the whole game and all of that.
Right.
Correct.
And then we also introduced casual gaming and tournaments around casual gaming.
Okay.
And that made our time spent on the app just shoot up.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, right.
So those are two big things we have done recently in the last 2-3 months.
Right.
In the new year, basically.
Yeah.
That has really changed the sessions and the average session length.
I mean, and again, of course, we spoke to Abhishek about this also, because now he's also involved in a company which is in the similar space, right? What's the core driver for this new behavior? What do you think? What is it? Just the fact that people in India have a lot of free time? Outside the product, from a business point of view, how is you guys as a interesting tech plus content creation company looking at this?
So we are looking at Loco app as the Vegas experience, right? What do you do? What do you go to Vegas for? You're mostly trying to go there with friends, have fun, right? You gamble a little bit, go watch a show, watch other people gamble, shop. We can't deliver the
other
sex,
experience,
but outside of that, there are a bunch of different experiences. You go, you play together. Sometimes you go solo, whatever. But so you come to the Loco app, and then you realize that you can play a quiz, play a game, win some money. We have plans of putting our content on Loco as well, so you can then go watch a show.
Right.
All kinds of different things we can do once
Right.
you have people coming to Loco, and if you like to be a
Destination
for entertainment.
So interesting. I mean, like there was a, so this is kind of like that one app to eat all your time kind of idea.
Yeah. In fact, the mission statement of our company is to solve boredom.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
again, I see this sort of as a pattern with everyone in the live space, right? So you mentioned Hotstar earlier on. Hotstar's, they actually introduce gaming while you're watching the
Correct.
match, right?
Yeah, to drive engagement, to make sure people are there, people are doing something during the boring parts of the game.
Correct. So it's all sort of becoming this space where the mobile is obviously your centerpiece of your screen and the focus of your day, or the focus of how much time you're spending there. But it's all about doing more in that time, or doing a variety of these things when you're immersed in that time.
Right. And the other question you asked about, does Indians have more time on their hands?
Mm-hmm.
Any market which has a successful TV business you got to be kidding if you have to ask people if you have enough time. Every day people watch 2 to 3 hours of TV.
So this is just moving that TV to a phone.
I mean, there is just so much time around the world. It's not just the India thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a global metric on.
This is my personal view
It's
on
actually
this.
a higher number than that.
Yeah, in the US, people watch 4 hours of TV on an average.
So media consumption in the last, so I mean, like I read about this a couple of months ago, media consumption in the last 30 years has gone from an average of 3.5 hours a day to an average of 8.5 hours a day.
Media overall.
Media consumption overall, just all kinds of different media that you're consuming.
But now there's a TV screen in your hand. You don't have to watch what your mom watches.
Yeah. So it's into whatever number of
Right.
people in the household, number of hours consumed.
So there is plenty of time people waste
Exactly.
or have fun with.
Yeah.
If you spend the time having fun, it's not wasted.
Let's not call it waste, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
important
It's
that
important.
people consume media.
Yes.
I think it is.
It is.
We both agree with this.
Yes.
In all forms, in all formats.
All forms and formats.
Of
Please
course.
consume more media.
Absolutely. And that's
And be
interesting.
discerning of the media that you consume.
Thank you. That's a good point as well. Be discerning. Consume intelligent media.
Yes.
Absolutely. And my next follow-up to that was, interestingly, given your specific experiences in the past, are you seeing that the phone is going to wrap around your face and become like a HoloLens
Yes.
of you walking into Loco?
Yes, that would be brilliant.
Yeah. Do you think these two things play together? Though? Do you think they kind of start overlapping at some point in time? Like
for sure.
the augmented reality.
For
with
sure.
the,
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean,
This is where I'm taking this in a whole other tangent. I know it's beyond
Sure.
what Loco, maybe what you guys are even thinking today, but
no, I mean, this is
Speaking
not a
futuristic.
local play, but coming from my VR and AR experience
Right.
and having been in that market in its nascency, still is in its nascency, I think of HoloLens being announced less as the 2006 iPhone announcement and more as the first phone call Motorola made to AT&T in 1982.
Yeah.
Right? That's what just happened. So phones existed before the iPhone existed. Smartphones existed before the iPhone existed.
Correct.
iPhone took it to the
Another-
public.
yeah.
iPhone made it usable, right? And then
set the standard for everything.
set the
else.
standard, but it innovated in interesting ways, but it didn't innovate fundamental technology.
Right.
Right.
The features were all there. It's just
Yeah,
that
they
this
put
is
it all
how you
together
should
beautifully,
use it.
and that in itself is a feat. And
It is, it's-
economically,
yeah.
they have been very successful based on that. But this moment in VR and AR is akin to the 1982 phone call that Motorola made to AT&T, saying this is the first cell phone call.
Right.
And that's where you think we have a few years
There
of
were a bunch of
more
years, like
innovation.
bunch of years. Like I wish you had a chance. I wish I owned a HoloLens. I can bring it to show it to you guys. But it is amazing how much technology is fit in that, and it is still pretty clunky.
Yeah.
Right.
But it is mind blowing what's in it.
Yeah.
And the new version, I saw the videos, and I'm just amazed at what they've achieved.
Yeah. And of course, so many other platforms and players in this space.
There is
now.
HoloLens, there is Microsoft VR, there is Oculus, there is HTC Vive, there is Samsung, there is
Sony's
Gear
got
VR.
his thing.
I can just keep going, right?
Right. Everyone's doing something.
Everybody's doing something, and now there are so many companies in China which you would never heard of in the international world who are doing VR of various kinds.
So there was a canard a while ago that AR will be very, very useful. VR is only for very limited uses. Do you believe that? Do you think that's true?
And that's where the tie-in comes in, right? So VR is a physical device which you have to immerse yourself into, whereas AR is actually still on your phone.
You're out in the world, right? Where you can use AR in the world, whereas VR you can only use in a closed box.
Yes, VR is a special case of AR.
Okay.
I just see it at that. Like, if I dim the lights of AR, it's VR.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Obviously, VR is easier to do. That's why
AR is easier to do.
VR is way easier to do.
Than augmented reality.
You don't have to read the world, no? You only have to create your own internal world. AR has to read the world.
Right. But again, with phones, that's happening. That's already out there today.
Right. And then AR, there are various kinds. There's the head-mounted headset, heads-up displays, all kinds of AR, right? So AR will permeate our space somehow, one way or another. Phone AR will exist, like Street View with overlays is like the natural next step for Google Maps to do.
It's actually an interesting time that we're doing this today because also of another news announcement that happened just yesterday, which is the Google Stadia announcement, if you guys heard that one.
I did not.
I saw a tweet, but I don't know what it was all about.
So they've just launched completely virtualized online gaming. So I can play a game from internet-connected controller by Google, which is actually running off a VM somewhere. So hardware-less console gaming.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Because again, latencies are now finally at the time where I can play a 4K game running off of some VM hardware somewhere, and I can play it on YouTube or whatever, on a web page.
Interesting. I saw a bunch of sarcastic tweets about this.
Of course,
of
course. Well, but it's an interesting time, right? When you guys, so it's literally what you're doing in a lot of ways. You are letting people play online games. This is just taking online games to another extreme, where they are becoming similar to console games. But it's effectively the same thing. You're playing in an arena. It's like playing PUBG or Fortnite.
Yep.
Essentially, but without the
short period of time before we get banned.
But effectively without the console hardware, right? The rendering and everything is happening on a GPU away from you, and not on yours. So
they've been talking about doing this for a while. It's great that they're finally getting there, right? There was
Is it live or is it announced?
It's announced.
I do not know the answer to that.
It's announced, so soon live.
There was a massive company that did some VR virtualization, or somebody who got funded massively who did some VR virtualization.
Everyone has been, right? Everyone has been. But specifically to games, this was their announcement. So this is where, again, it's clear indication that the world is moving towards games which you can play from anywhere, which are console-less, which are no longer tied to like a platform. You can just switch on a computer or switch on a phone.
I think we're a ways from that, right? Like as you were saying, photon to photon, 3.5 seconds, right? So I mean, like you can't have that kind of lag in a game. You have to be, if your game has to be much quicker than that.
So that's for live video, no? No one's streaming.
But if you're doing a game, you're doing live video only. You're streaming the video.
No.
One way.
There is technically there's a big difference, right?
Okay.
Because
it's one way.
But so video is streaming to you, and then you have to talk back to it, and the server has to see what you're doing.
Yeah, but in a video game, you're just sharing commands to the characters.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
No, but if you have no processing on your local end, then at that point in time the processing is happening there. So you have to stream the video too, no? Without a GPU, you have to stream the video. If there's no local GPU, you have to stream the video.
Correct. They are streaming the video.
There are techniques. I don't know, but
I don't either.
I'd heard of a Microsoft project. The internal name I think was Project Rio or something. I think they made it public. They didn't make it public. I'm not quite sure. That was attempting this. They had a giant server farm full of Xboxes.
Oh.
And let you play Xbox on a very, very cheap machine. Like if you have a low-end machine, like with a Celeron or something like that on a laptop. Mm-hmm. But if you want to play a Xbox Battlefield or like FIFA, Halo or something, you can.
Interesting. I think that's what Google's finally gone
Google
ahead
doesn't
and
really have a console or a library of AAA games. I don't
exactly.
know
I think that's what the biggest sarcastic tweet was about. That gaming is not about the console or the hardware; it's about the game.
Yeah.
So again, we're coming back to you guys. You guys have a distinct advantage of being a tech platform backed with a content creation company, and I think that's what matters. And with Pocket Aces per se, the kind of content you guys have been making has been doing very well. And of course,
Pocket Aces, we are at last few months we have been India's #1 digital platform. In terms of minutes views, in terms of reach, in terms of number of views.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
good
Thank
news.
you. It's a big deal.
Yes,
It's
it
a
is.
big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah. And you're right up there competing with the OTTs of the country in a way then.
In some ways, but we're also making content for the OTTs.
For them, yeah.
So there it's
competing with their original content.
yeah.
Frenemies.
Yeah.
Even I don't like that word. People use that with it.
Yeah, it's not
really
frenemies.
that.
No, we are in the classic sense. We're all in the same business.
Yeah,
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Correct.
They're selling a different segment. We are selling a different segment.
Awesome.
They have well funded. We have to go find sponsors. They don't.
Yes.
As long as they have the money. But awesome. Thank you so much for doing this, Viral. I mean, this was really insightful. I think we got a lot of tech conversations out there also, which is what this show is about. Where can folks reach out to you if they want to come and talk to you again? Like maybe a Twitter handle, if you're on Twitter or
I'm
anywhere.
on LinkedIn. I'm not on Twitter. I've never actually understood Twitter. I'm old. But you reach me on LinkedIn. That's the best place to find me on LinkedIn. Viral Mehta, Pocket Aces will get you there.
Yeah.
Awesome. And
Cool.
of course...
And, just a reminder, everybody, please do give us a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you can find a place to rate us. Just give us a rating, drop us a review, put a comment in. However you can interact with us, that would be great. Send Shiladitya a tweet, send me a tweet. Anything is good. Also, if you are not a member on our Slack channel, please do go to the website, ivmpodcast.com/Shunya1. Over there's a button saying invite me to Slack, and we'll send you an invitation to the Slack channel. And then join us over there to talk with us.
All right. Thank you so much. And we will all wait for your feedback on the show.
Hey Amit, what do you think about starting a dating podcast?
To be honest, I think that idea is kind of garbage.
Sure, just like dating then.
Oh, we could call it dating is garbage.
We could talk to people about their sad dating lives.
Okay, I'm not so sure about that.
And we can discuss our terrible sex lives.
Okay, definitely not that.
We could talk about how there's no such thing as love and it's all a load of crap and nothing can ever truly bring meaning to our lives.
Okay, you might need some help there.
Alright, it's a yes then. Dating is garbage. Every week, we break down all things from dating apps, social media, texting, calling, dating rules, and more with some really cool people.
Episodes out every Thursday on the IVM Podcasts app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The most engaging and the most useful conversations you may have in your life are likely to be with your most challenging customers. Hi, I'm Ambi Parmeshwaran, and on this podcast, I will take you through my book, Sponge Leadership Lessons I Learned from My Clients. Packed with real stories about real people, but most of all, packed with the innumerable lessons I soaked up from some of the most iconic business leaders like Ratan Tata, Azim Premji, S. Ramadorai, Karsanbhai Patel, M. Damodaran, Dr. Kurian, and many more. Don't forget to tune into the Sponge podcast. Keep sponging to keep learning.